When I sat down to prepare this homily, it was a bitterly cold day in January. Outside my 23rd floor window, the wind was howling, and I was so very glad to be working at home. There didn't seem to be much else to be glad about, though. The morning news on CBC radio was, to put it mildly, quite gloomy. To put it starkly, it was scary as hell. Millions of people are starving in Afghanistan. Hundreds of people in Toronto have nowhere to go to get warm. Ontario hospitals have escalating numbers of patients and de-escalating numbers of staff. Tensions are rising in Eastern Europe. Will there be armed conflict there? The US is losing its grip on democracy, or so it seems. Between them, climate change and a global pandemic are threatening to undo us all. On the surface of it, this seems a very odd time to be reading a story about a drunken wedding party in warm and sunny Cana more than 2,000 years ago. Today's gospel places Jesus in the very earliest days of his ministry. He hasn't accomplished any public miracles yet. He has yet to make a name for himself. Still, according to the evangelist's telling of it, Jesus is already fully conscious of the rough road and the hard end that lies before him. He is already fully committed to accepting the hour of crucifixion that is to come. Given all of that, one has to wonder what Jesus is doing at a wedding to begin with. Was it an invitation he just couldn't get out of? Did his mother nag on him until he agreed to go? Or was the bride, or perhaps the groom, someone so beloved to him that being present to their joy filled him with joy of his own? I haven't attended any pandemic weddings, but I know some of you have. Some of you have even traveled long distances to do so. To be present to the joy of the moment is so important. It is so deeply nourishing of the human spirit. And do we not rejoice at a wedding, even when we know the marriage is bound to hit some rough spots? I was just a little kid when my cousin Yvonne, or little cousins called her Bonnie, got married. Hers was the first wedding I ever attended. And to me, it was all quite grand. It's true, I would have preferred a better view of the bride and groom as they exchange vows in little white clapboarded little St. Philip's Church. But when you're little, you get used to not seeing as much as you would like to see. The reception was a whole lot better. Every room in Aunt Verna and Uncle Norm's house was open to guests, and I explored them all. The wedding meal was served in their big, homey kitchen with a couple of extra chairs to accommodate as many people as possible at each seating. And there were several seatings, all arranged with great care by Aunt Verna to ensure that no one felt slighted and not given their proper place. The food was sort of potluck of things brought by family and close friends. The alcohol, mostly hard liquor, some of which was homemade, was not served with the meal. It was consumed before and after, mostly by men lounging around outside on a hot summer's evening. There was, I believe, no fear of it running out. Uncle Norm was much too conscious of his duty as father of the bride to let that happen. And besides, very few men would have come without a flask in pocket, just in case. And most had the possibility of sneaking back home for more. Most members of the community were there, except for the fishermen. They were having an exceptionally good fishing season, hauling their traps morning and evening, 6 days a week, and standing at their splitting tables long after darkness fell. Uncle Norm went to them in their fishing stages. Drink up, boys. We've all got a lot to celebrate this night. Now, while the wine didn't run out at Vonnie's wedding, that summer is still remembered as the last really good fishing season before the codfish did. Unlike Jesus, the people of that rural Newfoundland fishing outport did not know what was coming. But like him, I suspect they would have made the best of that night, even if they did. I think the poet Charles Baudelaire would have too. You have to be always drunk. That's all there is to it. It's the only way, so as not to feel the horrible burden of time that breaks your back and bends you to the earth. You have to be continually drunk. But on what? On wine? On poetry? On music? On Facebook? On the company of dear ones? On gaming? On gambling? On work? On learning? On bird watching? On shopping? On art? On caring for others? On amassing a fortune? On religion? On truth? On a heap of lies? There's a big and crucial difference between being drunk on living life and drinking hard to avoid it. There's a big and crucial difference between escaping life through our various addictions and being able to take the ordinary essentials of life. Plain old water might be a good example, and getting completely and joyfully drunk on them. I would like to suggest that Jesus' first sign or miracle, according to the evangelist John, is not so much about literal water and literal wine. Rather, it is a story of hope and of promise that when the wine or the fish or even the number of our days are running out, we can turn what we have left into all that our spirits need to celebrate our being and to drink deeply from the cup of life. And for that, I am ever grateful and give praise to God.